Wednesday science demonstration, and we're really excited to share this activity with you. I have two helpers today, my daughter May and my daughter Evelyn. Now, the past couple of weeks we've been talking about how to look at your yard outside and figure out where your problems are. And today we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to help soak in runoff that's on your property that might be causing some problems. So maybe you saw a couple days ago I posted that video. Remember last week we did the site assessment of my yard and I said, here's some problem areas. And then I posted a video a couple days ago of all those problem areas with the rain coming down. So you could see what I mean as far as issues that need to be taken care of on your own property. And I've got issues too. So we're all in this together working on these issues. So today we're going to be doing a demonstration of an activity by the Project Wet Foundation, and it's called Stormwater. So stormwater is just runoff that comes from a rainstorm. And my daughters are going to be helping me here. But before we do the activity, we need to remember some terms. And so those terms are permeable and impermeable, or pervious and impervious. So does anybody remember of you two, what is a permeable or a porous?
It's things soak into it, and impermeable, things run off of it.
Okay, so what are some examples of things that you might see in the house or outside where things soak in?
Like a sponge.
Oh yeah, like a sponge. You can't see, we've got some sponges
in
here.
this counter.
Yeah, so the sponge is what, pervious or impervious?
The one that it does soak in.
Which is pervious or permeable. There's a lot of different words for this. And then you said the countertop, this hard surface, does not soak in. Okay, so if you have a lot of surfaces that water can soak into, you're going to have a lot less runoff going out. And if you have a lot of surfaces that water can't soak into, you're going to have a lot of that rainwater runoff going off your property into storm drains, directly into our lakes, rivers, and streams, and that can cause problems with flooding, and it can also carry pollution into those waterways. So we want to keep that water out of those drains as much as possible. We want to soak it into the ground, and we're going to talk about some ways we can do that today, and we're going to demonstrate how effective that is in reducing the amount of runoff that comes off property with this fun activity with sponges. What are some things that are outside, girls, that could be considered things where water doesn't soak into?
The pavement.
Pavement, the driveway, anything else?
Like a playground.
Maybe a playground, so depending on what the ground cover is in a playground. What are some things that you've noticed outside where water does soak into the ground?
The ground. The dirt.
Ground. Around trees.
The rain garden.
Our little rain garden. Yep, it's a special type of garden that you plant that's got a depression and the plants are in it and that helps soak water into the ground. The sandbox. Yeah, so is it more areas where people have built things or more areas that are natural or have plants that would soak water into the ground?
Natural.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that we do to try to soak water into the ground is to mimic nature. We want to have surfaces on the ground that look like nature. That helps water soak in. And those plants in those areas can soak up pollutants before they get into our waterways, and they can help reduce the amount of water running off. So for our activity, if you would like to follow along at home, maybe you have these materials, you can do it yourself. It's really easy. Really all you need is a simple tray like this. The aluminum ones are good because you're going to need to cut a hole in one corner. But maybe you have one of these left over from if you did one of our previous demonstrations that used one of these.
We didn't cut a hole in one.
Oh, you'll see we did. The other thing you're going to need is just some household sponges. So you can use what you have. I have enough to fill the tray. If you don't have that many, that's okay. And then you're going to need a couple of plastic Ziploc bags. And so you're going to set your tray up like this. Actually, before you do that, you're going to want to cut a little hole in the bottom of your tray like I did here, because that's where our runoff is going to come out of our system. So take your sponges. You want to actually dampen them a little bit before you do this. If you pour water, have you ever tried pouring water on a totally dry sponge? What happens?
It gets wet.
It does get wet. Yeah. Sometimes what I've noticed, if you pour water directly onto a super dry sponge, sometimes it's so dry that some of the water doesn't soak in, it runs off. So we want to have a good demonstration here. So we're going to have our sponges are just a little bit dampened. Can you feel that? Yeah. So if they look all dried up and shriveled, put water in them, squeeze them out really good so that like I can squeeze these and water's not coming out, but they are nice and soft. And then put them in your plastic bags and put them in your tray like this. And so this is our neighborhood, we're pretending. And the sponges are in the plastic bag. So what do you think the plastic bags might represent in our neighborhood?
The pavements.
The hard stuff, like pavement, and what did you say, Ak?
Driveways and streets. And
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's happening here. This is our neighborhood. The sponges are the ground, the soil, and the plastic wrap over top is all those impermeable surfaces. So we're gonna do a little experiment, and can I show them this a second? The girls, I won't show that part. The girls are using this worksheet that comes from Project Wet, but you can just write the results down on your own piece of paper. But on the bottom here, there's a little table that we're going to be filling out. And what it shows is our runoff measurement data collection chart. So we're going to pour 1 cup of water over this neighborhood, and we're going to measure how much water comes out the bottom. So May, could you, hold on, let me make sure I've lined up right. Pour the water starting at the top. This is 1 cup. Yep, and we're going to see how much of this water runs off. Pour it slowly so it doesn't come out the front. Yep. How much of this water is running off versus how much is soaking in?
I don't know.
What do you guys notice happening right now?
It's all running off like a stream.
Does it seem like anything is soaking in?
Nothing except maybe it got stuck in the cracks. But
Maybe it got stuck in the cracks and is like pooling a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Evelyn, this is round 1. The original amount of water is 1 cup. Please look at our 1 cup, our measurement here. How
It's
much
1
water came off?
1 cup.
1 cup of water came out.
All
Okay,
of it.
so if we started with 1 cup of water and 1 cup of water came out, how much was runoff?
All of it.
All of it. So we had 1 cup of runoff, and how much water was soaked in?
None.
None of it. Okay. That's what is the reality in a lot of our neighborhoods. Hold on just a second. So it's not usually 100% runoff, but it is very high in some of our urban areas, as high as 80-85% runoff in urban areas. And so we want to help reduce that runoff. And so for the next part of the activity, I have these special little cards, and I'll show them to you so that you can see them. And these are the practices that help soak runoff into the ground. So one practice is planting trees. Trees can help soak up rainwater and infiltrate it into the ground. One practice is community action or education that teaches people about things they can do to prevent stormwater runoff. One thing is a riparian buffer. Riparian means the area along the edge of a stream or a lake. So planting plants along the edge to help filter runoff. Oh, no, goes there, honey. One of them is a green roof that can help soak up water on your roof before it runs down into the street. One of them is what they call nature scaping. These cards come from Project Wet as well. And if you go through the training, you can download the cards yourself and use them, or you can just make your own cards. We call this rainscaping at Elgrow. So using native plants and growing things around your house in a way to reduce runoff. One option is porous concrete or pavers that lets water soak through it. One option is planters and swales. So if you've noticed like a ditch or something out in the country, that's kind of like a swale. And you can create those in urban areas too to capture water and help it soak in the ground. One is a rain barrel. This is where you would capture runoff from your roof and you could use it to water your gardens. One option is holding ponds, retention ponds, detention ponds, or even wetlands to help slow down how quickly that water is going. And then one option, our favorite option, is a rain garden. And this is a special kind of garden that you plant in good, well-drained soil, and it's shaped like a bowl. And so you funnel your rainwater into that garden, and the bowl holds it there until it can soak into the ground instead of running off. And you might have seen an example of that in the video I posted last week. All right, so here's the activity. I'm gonna mix up these cards, it's like a game, and I'm gonna just maybe stick them in here and stir them around. The girls are gonna take turns picking a card out. Each of these cards has a sponge value of a certain number of sponges. And if they pick that card, they get to take that many sponges out of the impermeable surface and create a permeable surface. And they're gonna have 5 minutes to do this. And at the end of 5 minutes, we are gonna do another experiment with the water and see how different the amount of runoff is. So here's your first one. Who wants to be the card reader? You want to,
Well,
May?
I want to pick it up.
You pick it. Abby, do you want to read the card?
Yes.
All right, which card did we get?
Rain garden.
What can you tell us about rain gardens?
Planted dispersion that allows stormwater to be absorbed as it runs off of hard surfaces such as roofs, driveways, parking lots, walkways, and roads. Rain gardens are most successfully developed using native wetland plants.
Awesome, thank you. So we learned about the benefits of soaking water in. The other benefit is they often provide habitat for native plants and animals and insects to live in. So how many sponges do you get to remove? At the bottom. One sponge. All right. May, can you be our sponge remover?
Oh,
Ooh, there was a little bit of water left in there, wasn't there?
that's because you did a cup and a half of water.
All right, take a sponge out. I got a little bit left in there. Okay, thanks. So, that sponge got to come out. And now we have all this impervious surface. Can you back up just a little bit, honey? But then we also have a little bit of pervious surface on our road. Okay. Lydia, do you want to pick a card? I didn't put the rain garden back in there, did I? Okay, let's see what we got.
Can I read it? This one?
Yep.
Community action. Water can be protected by actions. People apply.
Adopt. Actions people adopt.
Cleaning up after pets, not littering, and never throwing items down a storm drain. All help protect water quality and watershed.
Good job. So how many sponges?
One.
All right, so she got that community action. If you've ever seen one of those pet waste stations or signs that educate you on things you can do in your own yard, that helps improve water quality. So all right, Meg, you take one more sponge out. All right, Lid, can you pick one more card?
I pick one now.
All right,
I want to pick
Ev,
a card.
what do we get? You can pick one next.
I can't.
Riparian Buffer.
Is an area of trees and other vegetation on either side of a river or stream that reduces runoff and erosion caused by stormwater.
How many sponges do we get to take out from a riparian buffer?
3.
Whoa, riparian buffers let you take a lot of sponges out. That helps really improve infiltration. So we'll take that one, then we can get this bag out. All right, we got 2 minutes to finish. 2 more sponges. We'll see how many actions we get to. Uh-oh. My sponges got kind of wet. Yes, Lydia, they did get wet. They fell on top of each other. It's hard to keep them in the right order. Okay. You do always want to push as much air out of the packages as you can when you're doing this activity so that sponges can lay flat. Why don't you put 2 of those sponges up here? Because a lot of our streams are in the headwaters or upper parts of the watershed. So let's put some of the sponges up on the top. Okay, I think we have time for one more card. Whose turn is it to pick a card?
2 more.
Let's see. All right, pick one, May. What'd you get?
Echo or green roof.
Ooh.
It is a roof on building that is currently
Partially
or completely covered with plants and soil, and
absorbs
stormwater and also helps it incorporate.
cities.
We moved 2 sponges.
All right, a green roof lets us remove 2 sponges. All right, you're right, it's only been 4 minutes. So Evie, you can pull the very last card and see what our last practice is. These are all things that we call best management practices to help improve water quality and reduce flooding. What'd you get?
Wet holding ponds are able to capture and filter water generated by storm.
So wet holding ponds, this could be retention ponds, this could be detention ponds, this could be wetlands. How many sponges you get?
3.
This time can I put them in?
You can do the next one. All right, so wetlands make a huge difference. They can soak up a ton of water. So go ahead and stick those in here wherever you want, Ev. Actually, why don't I put these ones like right here across the middle? So now our landscape looks really different. We're gonna rearrange it. We're gonna try to fit all of our sponges in. Just see if I can get them in. It's like a puzzle.
Can I?
Lady honey, you can do it when we're done with the demonstration, okay? Because we gotta show the people here on the TV how to do it. All right, so now, remember how when we started, it was totally covered in plastic. And now you see we have quite a lot of pervious area that has been uncovered by these actions, these different actions that people took in the community. So let's see how the amount of runoff is different now that we have this permeable area. And what you need to do, May, just like I said before, is start pouring at the top. Yep. And how much water are we pouring? Do you remember?
1 cup.
Okay, pouring 1 cup of water. What are you guys noticing at the bottom here?
None of it came out yet.
Not yet? Okay. How is that different than what happened last time?
Coming out.
All of it came out.
And did it come out quickly or did it come out slowly last time?
Quickly.
Can you see her? You can maybe see. So what we're noticing, I'll hold it up so you can see better, is there is some water coming out, right? Coming out the bottom, but is it rushing out?
Not like it was last time. It's not even a 4th cup.
It's not even a 1/4 of a cup. Do you think it's maybe like an 1/8 of a cup?
Probably.
Okay, why don't you write in the amount of water, the amount of runoff, 1/8 of a cup. And if 1/8 of a cup of the water runs off, how much of the water was absorbed? Fractions, it's math. 7/8 of a cup of water was absorbed. So that is a really big difference, right? Of just doing things like educating our community, planting trees, planting rain gardens, gives us all of this pervious surface that helps water soak into the ground and hold on to it. And even if it only hangs on for a little while and then does drip out, we notice that the water drips out so much more slowly that it's much easier to manage and it doesn't cause some of the localized flooding issues that we're seeing even around Michigan in really bad ways today, this week even. So that was our activity today. What I want you to do now is I've created a special resource for you. And it's a stormwater scavenger hunt. I want you to see if you can try to find some of these practices that we talked about out in your neighborhood. So go ahead, get outside, go to our website, elgrow.org, and right under the quick links section, you can download this scavenger hunt to see what you can find in your neighborhood. So these are some of the things that we talked about today. And one of the things that is especially important that we didn't talk about just now is this adoption of a storm drain. So if you see storm drains in your neighborhood, one of the things you can do to help water quality is to adopt that storm drain on our website and help keep it clean. So this is an activity hopefully that you can do inside to get you thinking about soaking water in. And then this scavenger hunt is an activity that I hope gets you outside, looking around and making observations about what people are doing in your community, in your neighborhood, and hopefully you're inspired to do something too. If you have any questions, always feel free to send us a message. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will be back with you live again on Friday for a new craft. Have a great afternoon.